As Chief Medical Examiner of the District 9 morgue in Orlando, Dr. Jan Garibaldi's days are usually jam-packed. But if there's one thing she'll always make time for, it's consultations with fellow medical examiners, like her good friend, Norma Jean Farley.
It's face down, and it's a strangulation. Dr. Farley and I practice in different states, but oftentimes when either one of us wants to bounce off ideas about a case, we'll just both pick up the phone and drop what we're doing and talk to each other. We think very much alike. I really value her judgment, and she's an excellent pathologist.
They first met in the 1990s at the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office in San Antonio, Texas. Back then, Dr. Farley was a pathology fellow working under Dr. G's guidance.
During the fellowship, Dr. G was one of my mentors. I would often consult Dr. G about cases that I may have had in the morgue, any questions or anything I wasn't sure about.
And in the winter of 1999, Dr. Farley sought Dr. G's advice on a case that seemed impossible to crack. Little did either know, it would soon become one of the most confounding and emotionally charged cases of both pathologists' careers.
I was just involved somewhat peripherally, but I just can't forget it. It was a child, and it was so sad and so unexpected that it's just never left me.
September 1999. Danny Evans is 10 years old and living with his parents in San Antonio, Texas. Like a lot of kids his age, he loves sports and video games, but he also has a passion for music. In fact, he spent much of the past summer teaching himself to play electric guitar.
This is a happy-go-lucky child with a nice family.
But as the school year gets underway, parents Katie and Tom begin to notice a troubling change in Danny's behavior.
He wasn't his normal self. He was a little too hyper, and he was having a hard time in school sitting still, focusing and concentrating.
Determined to get a better handle on the problem, Danny's parents arrange for a consultation with his pediatrician. What they discover next changes their lives forever.
They finally got him diagnosed, and he had ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. There's certainly different gradations of that, but it's basically that these children have a hard time focusing and concentrating and are very hyperactive.
The doctor prescribes Ritalin, a drug commonly used to treat ADHD. The effect on Danny is dramatic.
He was finally given the proper medication, and I mean, he reached his potential. He was just a go-getter, always adventurous, and from my understanding, he wanted to be a doctor, and they were just so excited.
He went from a special ed kid to a gifted and talented student. So the family was very happy about his progress with the medication that he was taking.
But their happiness is short-lived. Only 3 months after his diagnosis, the unthinkable happens. It's a chilly Monday morning, and Danny's running late for school, again. His parents assume he's overslept as usual. But stepping into his bedroom, Katie is startled to find Danny crumpled on the floor.
He wasn't breathing, and he was cold to the touch. They immediately called 911.
Paramedics arrive within minutes, but they only confirm Katie and Tom's worst fear.
They did try CPR, because with children, we want to try so hard, to resuscitate them and bring them back. But it was unsuccessful.
Medical investigator Steve Hansen, who was also working in Texas at the time, moves quickly to gather as much information as possible about Danny.
This was a tragedy. And I mean, everybody was upset about this. Here's a kid that should be okay, and he died basically a sudden, unexpected death.
He was 10 years old when he died. That's a very uncommon age to come into the morgue.
Danny's case promises to be tough. But when When his body arrives at the morgue, Dr. Farley, on a one-year fellowship at the time, volunteers to do the autopsy.
As a fellow, I always try to be in on the most difficult and interesting cases.
Now, as she pores over Danny's medical history, one detail catches her eye.
Looking at the investigative report, I saw the child was taking Ritalin or methylphenidate for his ADHD.
Both Ritalin and its generic version, methylphenidate, are widely used and considered very safe. As she continues reading Danny's medical history, she discovers an alarming piece of information.
The child had asthma. Asthma is a chronic, lifelong lung disease. Usually a person can live with the chronic part of the disease. They may have some coughing, but when they have an acute asthma attack, then that's when it becomes life-threatening.
The airways constrict and they get inflamed and you have a hard time breathing.
It can kill you, especially if you don't have a fast-acting inhaler near you at the time of your asthma attack.
But Dr. Farley must also explore the ultimate tragic scenario, that Danny's untimely death involved no disease at all.
You know, we have a child that's dead, and the sad truth of it is child abuse is still present in our society.
Even the happiest family might be hiding dark secrets. And in our field, we really know this.
As a mother of 3 children herself, Dr. Farley understands all too well that the stakes are high and the answers may be grim.
But I don't let my emotions get in the way. In the end, the family has to be held accountable if we find something. All right, Crystal. I think we're ready to go. We look very closely at the outside of the body. We look for any injuries to the body at that point, and we also look for scars.
We're going to look for subtle marks because those marks might help us determine how he was hit, on what he was hit with. Is there anything that can give us a clue of what happened?
This was a very small contusion and really wasn't suggestive of any foul play. That could just be from cardiopulmonary resuscitation where they had EKG pads. Looks like they gave him quite a bit of fluids when they were trying to resuscitate him. No other injuries noted to the abdomen or chest.
But after scouring Danny's body for any hint of injury, Dr. Farley comes up empty-handed.
He looks like a well-developed, well-nourished 10-year-old, and the external really didn't give us any hints.
Still, if there's one thing Dr. G and her team know, it's that physical abuse can leave surprisingly little evidence.
I will tell you that I've worked many cases where there is not a mark on the child, and until the autopsy is done, you don't know that the physical trauma is there.
Everybody ready?
We must rule out child abuse. We must rule out that something happened to this child.
This summer, we're in a race against time as temperatures rise. Abused and neglected animals across the country are suffering right now in the unbearable, scorching heat. They're thirsty and panting, chained outside with no water, and many are desperately trying to hang on for just one more day.
Extreme heat can have a major impact on animals, and we see that all the time. You know, without shade, to be without shelter, without adequate water, and basically just left out there dealing with the baking sun all day.
Will you come forward to help save an animal in distress today? Visit joinaspca.org. Call this toll-free number or scan the code on your screen to be counted for this life-saving appeal. Donate now, and with your gift of just $19 a month, you can help save an animal's life this summer. Go online, call, or scan now. It's just 63 cents a day. We will put your gift to work right away, rescuing animals who might not survive if we don't get to them soon. but the situation is urgent, and tomorrow could be too late for an animal who is suffering in the sweltering heat right now.
In my mind, 1 more hour is not acceptable. These animals have suffered enough.
This is no way for any animal to live, and it's heartbreaking to imagine what they are going through. They're desperately trying to hang on, but time is running out. Your support is the help they need right now. Don't wait.
These animals have been dealing with that environment and probably much worse for a long time.
So visit our website, call this number, or scan the code on your screen, and donate just $19 a month. Do it in the next 10 minutes, and we'll send you this free welcome kit, including our limited edition Animal Champion t-shirt.
We cannot put an end to this type of animal cruelty without the generous support of the ASPCA donors.
If there ever was a time, this is it. So if you sign up in the next 10 minutes, we'll send you this free welcome kit, including this beautiful t-shirt, for taking action right away to save an animal's life this summer.
These animals have suffered enough, and maybe you're going to be the reason why those animals won't ever have to suffer again.
We're in a race against time to reach vulnerable animals who are barely hanging on. Help rescue an animal today. Go online, call, or scan right now.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
NetCredit is here to say yes, even when other lenders won't. Apply online in minutes and get funds deposited the next business day or sooner. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
At the Bexar County Morgue in Texas, forensic pathology fellow Dr. Norma Jean Farley is determined to find out what or who killed 10-year-old Danny Evans.
The police investigating this mysterious surroundings of the death started suspecting the parents, which were the last people to have seen it. The parents were in a state of shock, couldn't even believe that there were actual suspects in this, the death of their son. It was a nightmare for them.
But when it comes to the unexpected death of a child, the forensic team has no choice but to explore even the darkest scenarios.
The worst thing we can do is to assume things. We ask what seem to be an awful lot of stupid, basic questions, but they turn out not to be, because these are the basic questions that we really need to ask.
You really have to finish the internal examination to rule out foul play. I've been fooled before. So we start with a Y-shaped incision, which comes across the chest in a V, and then a single line down to the pelvic region. I'm gonna make a few cuts in the soft tissue. Just make sure there's no contusions that we're not seeing. Little bruises that might be hiding. But I didn't see any soft tissue injury at all in this child.
To completely rule out foul play as a cause of death, Dr. Farley still needs to examine Danny's head for injuries to his skull and brain. But for now, she continues her inspection of his internal organs, looking for any sign of natural disease.
I want to stay focused on the organs of the chest, and I was very anxious to do this because I wanted to take a look at the lungs, since one of the main clinical clues was the fact that this child had asthma.
Upon opening the chest plate, Dr. Farley gets her first good look at Danny's lungs.
Really, these lungs are deep within the chest cavity. They feel like they're a little bit heavy, but they're not overexpanded at all. Not what we typically would expect in an acute asthma attack. So basically, we can't rule in or rule out asthma at this point. What I'm going to have to do is take microscopic sections of the lungs in multiple sections in different areas and see if I can prove this acute asthma by the microscopic examination of the tissue.
Dr. Farley prepares the lung samples to send out to a lab. In the meantime, she still has a long way to go on Danny's autopsy. And next up is the heart.
The heart looks normal within the sac. Doesn't look too big.
Carefully, she removes Danny's heart from his chest cavity. And as she turns the organ over in her hand, she makes a discovery that's completely unexpected.
There were some small contusions, little tiny bruises, or areas of hemorrhage on the surface of the heart. Could be the cause of death in this child.
Here's why you should switch from Google to DuckDuckGo on all your devices. DuckDuckGo comes with a built-in search engine like Google, but it's private and doesn't spy on your searches. And DuckDuckGo lets you browse like Chrome, but it blocks cookies and creepy ads that follow you around from Google and other companies. And there's no catch. It's free. We make money from ads, but they don't follow you around. Join the millions of people taking back their privacy by downloading DuckDuckGo on all your devices today.
Hi, I'm John.
Hey, I'm Janine.
I'm Steve, and I've been a Consumer Cellular customer for 8 years.
3 years.
11 years.
When they asked me if I want to be in a testimonial commercial,
I said, sure.
Said sure.
I said sure.
but I got a tournament to get ready for.
Not if the fish are biting.
But it's a beautiful day. We started looking for another provider primarily because we felt like we were paying way too much.
I chose to switch because of the savings. It was amazing. Way cheaper than where I was.
I could hardly believe that my bill was so small. I'm paying less than $30 a month. It's a great service for a great price.
Unlimited talk and text with flexible data plans starting at $20. Plus, for a limited time, new customers save $50 when you sign up today.
The place that I live in is heavily forested. There's a lot of trees. What got me to be a customer, really, to tell you the truth, was the reception and the coverage of Consumer Cellular.
I travel a lot. I need coverage, no matter where I am. And whether I'm in Augusta, Georgia, or Pebble Beach, California, I know that I'm going to be covered with Consumer Cellular.
I love to go far away places, remote places. I haven't had trouble with coverage, no direct calls.
Consumer Cellular offers fast, reliable nationwide coverage. Plus, for a limited time, new customers save $50 when you sign up today.
When we switched over from Verizon to Consumer Cellular, it was a really painless process.
Just kept the same phone. I kept the same number.
Anytime I call customer service, it's U.S. based.
It's nice to know when I have an issue that I can have a real conversation.
Customer service has been great. I just get a bill at the end of the month. It's on auto pay, and it's super easy.
And as AARP members, we also get a nice discount.
That's right. AARP members receive a 5% discount. Make the switch now to the most awarded brand by J.D. Power. New customers save $50 when you sign up today.
Call 1-800-279-2213.
Or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
Coming up next on True Crime Network.
The baffling case of Danny Evans is putting Dr. Farley to the test. So far, she's uncovered 2 possible causes of death: an acute asthma attack and foul play. But now, as she inspects the heart, she finds evidence of a 3rd possible killer.
Well, right here on the front of the heart, there are scattered little contusions here. Some tiny ones there, like a myocarditis. Myocarditis is an inflammation of the heart itself, the tissue in the heart. And it's usually caused by some type of infection, especially a viral type infection. And so this inflammatory process actually injures and starts eating away at the heart and can result in fatal cardiac arrhythmias. That could definitely cause death in a kid this age.
The symptoms of myocarditis can resemble the flu, with fatigue, fever, and a sore throat. Oddly, this fits with a minor detail in Danny's medical history. About 2 weeks before his death, he was diagnosed with a case of the flu. But if myocarditis is the true culprit, she can only prove it under the microscope.
So I typically put 5 pieces in different locations. One more from here. All right.
These samples will go to the lab along with Danny's lung tissue and return as microscopic slides in several days. Only then can Dr. Farley determine if the young boy died of asthma, myocarditis, or even something else. But the autopsy is still not over. She has one place left to look for evidence of foul play: Danny's head.
We start this, of course, by reflecting the scalp and looking again for any soft tissue hemorrhages that may not have made it to the skin surface. And there weren't any. We also looked at the skull itself. All right. No skull fractures. The brain is totally normal at this point. We're not finding anything unusual.
With the cranial exam complete, the entire autopsy comes to a close. And looking back, only one thing is clear to Dr. Farley.
I have now totally ruled out foul play, which I will relate to the investigative officer on the case.
But for Danny's parents, being proved innocent of child abuse is small relief compared to the agony of losing their only son.
They were just in a state of confusion. They wanted to find out what happened.
I was hoping with a microscopic examination, I would be able to give the family some type of answer, some type of closure.
A long week after Danny's autopsy, Dr. Farley gets the microscopic slides back from the lab.
So I do have 2 possibilities at this point. Asthma, or it may be some type of inflammatory process in the heart itself that caused a fatal abnormal arrhythmia that caused the child to die. Okay. I began by looking at the heart and looking for the inflammation that I was hoping would be there and improve myocarditis. And I didn't see this. The heart looked totally healthy and normal.
Dr. Farley now knows that myocarditis did not cause his death. She immediately looks at another slide, this time of Danny's lung tissue. Slowly, she turns the dial, bringing every cell into sharp focus.
And I did see some inflammation, mild to moderate, chronic inflammatory cells.
Danny Evans clearly had asthma, but Dr. Farley isn't certain if her findings prove he suffered a fatal asthma attack.
So after the microscopic examinations, I'm still at a dead end. I may never have the answers for this boy's family.
I have a structured settlement and I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. I live in a beauty, but I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877.
Call 877 Cash now to get a $100 gift card for a free quote.
Looking for affordable and stylish kids' shoes? Go to fabkids.com. These shoes have it all: ombre, rainbow soles, and glitter that does not rub off. Look how fun these are. They light up. I'm obsessed with the heart-shaped leopard print design. I wish I had these for myself. No fuss laces because there's an easy zipper on the inside. The quality for the price is amazing. Get shoes from just $5 plus free shipping on orders over $10 only at fabkids.com.
You may be eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan if you are turning 65, have limited income, or you're moving.
See how a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan could get you some big benefits, including this all-in-one WellCare Spendables debit card to use for over-the-counter health items. Find out how easy it is to get all of your original Medicare coverage plus extra benefits. You could have medical coverage, coverage for prescription drugs, dental, vision, and hearing, and the WellCare Spendables debit card to make getting the coverage you need more convenient. The WellCare Spendables debit card can be used for over-the-counter health items. And here's more good news. You can get a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan with a $0 or low monthly plan premium. How can WellCare offer all of those benefits for a $0 or low monthly plan premium? It's simple. Medicare Advantage and Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage are important parts of Medicare. WellCare has a contract with Medicare to offer and provide these important options to you. Call right now to get your free copy of the WellCare All-in-One Guide. Call 844-975-0005 now. There is absolutely no obligation for requesting this free information. WellCare offers benefits that go beyond the basics, and we make them easy to use so you can support your best health. Call a licensed sales agent to see if you are eligible to enroll today and get your free copy of the All-in-One Guide with absolutely no obligation. Your free guide will provide information to make a smart choice for your healthcare coverage. Just call 844-975-0005. Remember, there's no obligation for requesting this free information, so call 844-975-0005. Call today.
Why is Navage perfect for allergies?
People who have allergies will have lots of problems. If someone's exposed to allergens, they can get rid of those immediately by washing out the nose. Navage works by pulling saline in one nostril, through the nose and out the other nostril, sucking out allergens, mucus, dust, and germs. Experience on-the-spot relief so you could breathe easier, sleep better, feel healthier. If you have seasonal allergies, Navage can help.
Available at major retailers or online at Navage.com.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
How long have you been tracking the value of our car? Should we sell it?
We hold.
Our low mileage is paying off. You think we should?
Hold. Already sold to Carvana. Go to Carvana and track your car's value today.
I just dictated this case. Could you download it for me and let me know when it gets back, okay? Thanks.
At the Bexar County morgue in Texas, Dr. Farley has hit a brick wall in her search for what killed 10-year-old Danny Evans.
After the microscopic examinations, I still don't have a cause of death in this child.
Weighing heavily on her mind are Danny's parents, Katie and Tom, whose anguish is growing each day as they wait for answers.
They just couldn't take the pressure. It was a emotional strain on them, just unbelievable proportions.
For their sake, and as a professional, giving up is not an option.
Only twice since I've been a forensic pathologist, I've had to say a death was undetermined, and I really don't like to do that.
She did find hints of asthma in Danny's lung tissue, which leaves the possibility, however slim, that asthma caused his death. But as Dr. G's pathology fellow, she knows when it's time to get a second expert opinion.
So at this point, I decided to go up to Dr. G's office and have her just quickly take a look at the slides, and in particularly the lung slides, and just make sure I wasn't missing anything in my diagnosis.
She was kind of on the fence whether it was enough asthma or not, because she really wanted to give the family the answer. It was getting close to Christmas. She really wanted to just put this to rest and have some closure for the family.
Now, Dr. G carefully scans Danny's lung tissue for inflammatory cells and diffuse bronchial plugging, which indicate an acute asthma attack.
I really wanted her to be able to find the acute asthma I didn't see on those slides.
But When I looked at the slides, there wasn't near enough acute changes. So unfortunately, I had to tell her that she just did not have enough on that slide under the microscope to say that's his cause of death. It clearly, his cause of death was not asthma.
Dr. G's analysis is a huge blow to Dr. Farley, and she's beginning to fear she may never find closure for Danny's parents.
And I'm wondering where else I can go.
But then, Dr. G offers one last ray of hope.
What she told me was, Norma, wait for the toxicology. It could have all the answers.
The chances are extremely small, but there is the slight possibility that a large overdose of Ritalin could have triggered a fatal arrhythmia, a cause of death that would have been impossible to detect in autopsy.
Unfortunately, toxicology at that time took about 3 months to come back. So it meant that the family was going to have to wait before I'd have that result. It was hard on the family.
They were just overwhelmed with the whole process. I mean, the mother was in really bad shape.
But we want the right answer, not the fast answer.
A grueling month goes by, followed by another. Finally, on a cloudy Friday afternoon in March, the toxicology report on Danny Evans arrives.
Finally, I get the toxicology results, and I'm very anxious to see if there's anything that could help me determine a cause of death. And I'm expecting to see Ritalin, because the child is on this for the attention deficit hyperactive disorder.
But when the tox came back, it was a surprise to us all. It was a shock.
Growing up, I had a serious issue with my relationship with food, so I joined Weight Watchers, never looked back. I've lost 70 pounds, and I learned to embrace every version of myself along the way.
Healthcare. It's so outdated. You know what time it is? Time for change. It's time for someone else to coordinate all our care, like a whole team. My very own team.
Welcome to Oak Street Health. The doctor will see you now.
I just made this appointment yesterday. That's more like it.
At Oak Street Health, we're changing what it means to get older by changing healthcare for the better. In fact, we specialize in caring for older adults. So call today.
Here, every member of your team works together to build your personal care plan and manage all your healthcare needs.
That includes nurses like me, social workers, and mental health support.
And of course, me, her doctor.
I take the notes for him,
so I can spend more time listening to her.
She does like to talk.
What if I have medical questions late at night?
Or early in the morning?
We do have a 24/7 patient support line, even on weekends. Plus, we accept Medicare and can even help you understand your plan's benefits.
That's quite the benefit.
Mm-hmm. Gone are the days of doctors who only want to see you when you're sick. Oak Street Health focuses on keeping you healthy. Why settle for the old way of managing your health? Now that there's Oak Street Health.
It's time for less red tape.
Better now? We even gather all of your medical records and health history. So switching to Oak Street Health is easy.
Does any of this cost extra?
Heck no.
Well, out with the old way of aging.
And in with the new.
Oak Street Health specializes in helping older adults feel their best. Call 855-271-5403 to schedule your visit with the only primary care provider selected to carry the AARP name, Oak Street Health.
At Drive Time, you can do a lot in 30 seconds right on your phone. Like get approved, then start shopping thousands of cars with real terms, all with no hit to your credit in as little as 30 seconds. But this is a 15-second ad. It sure is. Go to drivetime.com and do a lot in not a lot of time.
In just 1 year, I had over $900 in banking fees. I had enough. I switched to Chime. There's no overdraft fees, no monthly fees. I'm saving hundreds for my daughter's future. For a normal guy like me, I've given myself a small raise. Join me at Chime.com.
The Bedroom Suite, with deliberate details and modern functionality. For the indoor enthusiast. Check in at Thuma.co.
Whatever the crime,
answers to mysteries will be revealed.
The question is, who's going to benefit by these two deaths?
He was finally caught.
On Dateline.
At the Bexar County Morgue in Texas, a bombshell has just been dropped on the case of 10-year-old Danny Evans.
This was a child with ADHD who was on Ritalin. And so I'm expecting to see Ritalin in these toxicology results.
But when we got the tox back, it was a shock because the toxicology showed no Ritalin whatsoever.
Instead, I find a drug I'm not even expecting. I'm finding the drug methadone.
Methadone is a powerful central nervous system depressant, a synthetic drug strictly monitored by the FDA. It's almost inconceivable that the 10-year-old would have access to it, because the drug's primary use is to treat heroin addiction and chronic severe pain. But Dr. Farley is startled to find he not only had methadone in his system, he'd ingested a huge amount.
The methadone level in this child was 0.44 milligrams per liter. That's not only lethal in a child, but that's lethal in an adult. So at this point, I do have a cause of death. It's an acute methadone intoxication.
Her discovery sends shockwaves through the morgue and immediately sparks a barrage of questions.
How did he get the methadone?
What could possibly be the ways this child could have gotten methadone?
Is he trading his Ritalin, which is a stimulant, for the methadone, which is more of a downer or a depressant?
10 years old is pretty young to be using methadone as a drug of abuse, but maybe he didn't know what he was trading his Ritalin for.
Or is there someone in the family, the mother or the father, may be on the medication?
Dr. Farley and Dr. G called the entire investigative team back into action, launching an exhaustive search for the origin of the dangerous pills that killed Danny.
All of a sudden, we get a call saying, we need to go back and we need to find out why this kid had methadone.
Go back to the family and see if anybody in the family was on methadone. And there was no one. Go back to the school and see what kind of student was this child. Was he drug seeking in any ways?
But he's not the type of kid. Everybody at school is baffled, and his family's baffled. Nobody seems to know.
So then I started thinking, where else would he get methadone?
Well, you know, one of the things we finally thought about is, well, how about those pills that he is supposed to be taking? Has anybody checked those?
Danny's bottle of prescribed Ritalin had been brought to the morgue with his body and left untouched ever since.
Looking at the label on the bottle, I noticed right away that the name is correct. But instead of Ritalin, which is what I was told he was on, which is a brand name, he was on the generic. And the generic was methylphenidate.
Ritalin and methylphenidate. Both drugs are identical, and it's common for doctors to allow a brand name prescription to be filled with a cheaper generic counterpart. But in this case, Dr. Farley has a strong hunch that the seemingly benign switch triggered a deadly mix-up. If she's right, she'll be able to close the 3-month-old case for good and replay for Danny's parents the exact chain of events that led to his tragic death. It's 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. Time for Danny to take his evening dose of Ritalin. Over the past few months, the medication has transformed his struggle with ADHD.
After being properly diagnosed and given the proper medication, he went from being in special ed classes to being an honor roll student, a gifted and talented little boy.
His parents, Katie and Tom, couldn't be happier. But recently, they've been dealing with an entirely new health concern.
He was not himself, he was always drowsy, and he would start getting the cold sweats.
Alarmed by these new and perplexing symptoms, they take Danny to the doctor. He reassures them that it's only the flu. But the diagnosis couldn't be more wrong. Unbeknownst to anyone, Danny is actually feeling the effects of a powerful narcotic, methadone. And Dr. Farley thinks she knows how it got into his system. She immediately heads to the poison control office with the contents of the pill bottle.
I passed the pill over to the poison control, and within about 15 minutes, they were able to tell me what the medication was, and it was methadone. The methadone had been filled, most likely incorrectly, at the pharmacy. I could see how it might happen. Methylphenidate, methadone, both M's maybe sitting by each other on the shelf, and inadvertently, you pick up the wrong one and you fill it in the prescription bottle.
When they refilled his prescription 3 weeks before he died, they had switched it from the brand name to the generic of methylphenidate, and the person who filled that prescription inadvertently gave him methadone instead of methylphenidate. Now, the family didn't pick up on the fact that it was a different appearing pill because they just thought, well, this is the generic is a different shaped pill, a different color pill, as it often is. And the depressant effect of methadone started almost immediately.
He's drowsy. They can't wake him up. He seems always tired.
The symptoms grow worse each day because methadone has what's known as a long half-life.
And basically a half-life just means the time it takes to get half of the drug that you've ingested out of your system. So the more he takes, the more methadone he's accumulating in his system.
Frightened by his worsening condition, Danny's parents rush him to the ER. But again, an opportunity to identify this tragic mistake falls through the cracks.
They even do a urine drug screen. But most likely the urine drug screen that they performed only looked for 5 or 6 different medications.
It's totally different in forensics. The drug tests we do are confirmatory, and they're the gold standard, and they're done in your blood. The drug screen that you get in an emergency room is very limited. It's only designed to pick up the common drugs of abuse. And methadone has to be looked at and asked for specifically. And in this case, the drug screen panel did not pick up methadone.
In the meantime, Katie and Tom continue to follow the advice of Danny's doctor, cutting the medication to half the original dose.
But, he's been on methadone now almost a month. So it's accumulating in his system this whole time. And on this night, it becomes too much for his small body, and he has too high of a level of methadone. He's breathing slower and slower until he stops breathing and dies.
Dr. Farley has put together almost all the pieces, except one. She calls the Texas State Board of Pharmacies to confirm this tragic chain of events.
Methadone and methylphenidate are both controlled substances, so we kind of keep a good eye on them. In fact, they do counts on this type of medication to make sure no one's abusing the medications. In this case, we did find out that they were short on the methadone, the exact number that they prescribed to this child.
So it was clearly a pharmacy error. Although they didn't do it on purpose, they mixed up the name of methadone and methylphenidate.
Just a really bad, unfortunate circumstance. Nobody wanted this to happen.
The state board issues a fine and suspension, and the case is settled out of court with the family. But to the pharmacist, it isn't about the money.
Oh, it's sad. It was just a small mom and pop type of pharmacy. They'd been in business for, 40 years, and he was devastated that his business caused the death of this child. He was grieving just like the family was grieving, and he lost his business. He sold it.
For Danny's parents, the wounds cut even deeper.
Although the family was angry that these mistakes were made, the pharmacy mix-up, the fact that it wasn't picked up on the drug screen, the fact that no doctor could figure out what was going on, ultimately, they were very upset that what caused his death was what they were giving him to take. It was through their hands that what they gave him caused his death. Each one of those pills had been cut in half just as the parents were told to. They were following the directions given to them by the doctor. They wanted to do right. And by continually giving those pills that they thought he needed, they were killing him.
The impact of Danny's death runs deep for both Dr. G and Dr. Farley.
This is one of those cases you walk away from and you take with you the rest of your life.
I've been a medical examiner for over 20 years. I've worked on thousands of cases, well over 6,000. Why this case stands out, why this case is one that I can't forget, is that it was a surprising ending to me and a tragic involvement of the mother who loved him so much. I'm a mom, and you want to do nothing but good for your children.
The loss of a child is always tragic. But Dr. G's next case gives her an opportunity to turn tragedy into hope.
It's a beautiful case of a tragedy that this family was able to turn around into something very positive for other people.
You'll find them in cities, towns, and suburbs all across America. Millions of Americans who have Medicare and Medicaid, but may be missing benefits they could really use. Extra benefits they may be eligible to receive at no extra cost. And if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you may be able to get extra benefits too through a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan. Call now to see if there's a plan in your area and to see if you qualify. All of these plans include doctor, hospital, and prescription drug coverage, plus something really special, the Humana Healthy Options Allowance, your allowance, to help pay for essentials like eligible groceries, utilities, and rent, even over-the-counter items. And whatever you don't spend gets carried over to the next month. Plus, with the Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan, you'll get other important benefits. All of these plans include dental coverage, with 2 free cleanings a year, plus fillings and a yearly exam. Vision coverage, including eye exams and a yearly allowance for eyewear. And hearing benefits, including routine hearing exams and coverage toward hearing aids. You'll also get free rides to and from medical appointments. Best of all, you'll pay nothing for covered prescriptions, even brand name ones, all year long. And $0 for many routine vaccines at in-network retail pharmacies. Plus, you'll have access to Humana's large networks of doctors and specialists. So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, call now to see if there's a plan in your area that will give you extra benefits, including an allowance to help pay for essentials, plus no cost for covered prescriptions, and coverage for routine dental, vision, and hearing. A knowledgeable licensed Humana sales agent will explain your coverage options and, if you're eligible, help you enroll over the phone. It's that easy. Call today, and we'll also send this free guide. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on giving you fast, reliable nationwide coverage at up to half the cost of the leading carriers. But don't worry, we've got more than that going for us. Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have a flip phone, like the Iris Flip. We even have watches. I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
New customers save $50 when you sign up today. Call 800-918-5494. Find us in Target or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
made me choose SNHU was it was completely online and it was affordable.
Searching for your future? Go to snhu.edu.
In her career as a medical examiner, Dr. G encounters astonishing stories every day. And many of these stories stay with her forever.
This case actually very much stands out in my memory because, this shows you how our lives turn on a dime and how precious life is, how fast it can be taken away from us.
It's August 25th, 2004, and fourth grader Erica Chappelle is on her way home from school.
Erica Chappelle is a healthy, beautiful 10-year-old girl that was having an ordinary day.
Her mother, Bianca, still remembers the rainy afternoon as if it were yesterday.
Erica and 3 other children had gotten off of the school bus. And my daughter, Erica, was taller than the rest of the kids in her class. And so she asked them, could she hold the umbrella? And everybody come under the umbrella with her. They heard a crack. She directly got struck by lightning.
Rescue workers arrive just minutes later to find that Erica has no pulse and is not breathing.
CPR done on her for about 20 minutes before her heart rate returns, but unfortunately during that time her brain wasn't getting enough oxygen.
When Erica arrives at the hospital, she's in a coma. Her chances of survival are slim, but doctors refuse to give up hope.
They were trying to regulate her vitals and figure out where we were going to go from there. Really didn't have a lot of answers other than keeping her stable, monitoring her heartbeat and her respiratory and all of that.
Hours pass. Then a day. Then 2. Still, Erica shows no sign of improvement.
To see your child in that kind of state and feel so helpless, not knowing what the outcome, I just didn't really know how to act, other than the fact that I knew I needed to be strong for Erica and I needed to be strong for my family. On the 3rd day was when they came to us and said, we have a test that we have to run on her, and after that we'll be able to tell you whether or not she's brain dead. It was on August the 28th when the doctor ran the last test. And then the doctor is telling me, this is it. I'm sorry, Mrs. Chappelle. Erica's no longer with us.
Devastated at their loss, Bianca Chappelle and her husband are now confronted with one of the biggest decisions of their lives.
They came to us within probably 30 minutes of her passing, and they told me her organs could be donated. That part was hard, but my husband and I, at that moment, together, looked at each other and went, yeah, we think that is going to be a wonderful legacy to her, to save someone else's life.
But before Erica's organs can be donated, the Organ Procurement Agency must get approval from one more person, Dr. G.
They have to call my office because she is in a natural death. It's a traumatic death, an accidental death, and I have to investigate that death.
She must decide if she can perform a successful investigation without many of Erica's vital organs. It's an urgent situation and every second counts.
With Erica's case, we have to make a quick decision so they can quickly get her into an operating room and recover the organs before they're damaged any further.
She quickly runs through all the information she has: hospital records, police reports, and accounts from her medical investigators.
There didn't seem to be any question about why she died. It was witnessed. She'd already had a CAT scan of her brain, so there was really no questions left.
Once the hospital gets the official sign-off from Dr. G, the usable organs and tissues are removed from Erica's body, and she's transferred to the District 9 morgue.
She has an incision all the way down her chest and her abdomen, which they made to get her organs out. But when I see her, she's still a beautiful young girl. Pretty dark brown eyes. She still has clear injuries and burns from the lightning. 46.
And as she anticipated, Dr. G is able to quickly confirm Erica's cause of death.
It's clear she was a victim of a lightning injury. The way people die from lightning is usually an electrical event. It harms the nervous system. And guess what keeps your heart pumping? It's that electrical component of the heart. And so when that electricity splash comes over you, it can stop your heart. It was a cardiac arrest, and her brain didn't get enough oxygen.
Dr. G's brief autopsy is now complete. She records the cause of death as cardiac arrest as a result of lightning strike. But Erica's story is far from over.
They were able to use kidneys, liver, that the valves of her heart were able to be used. The corneas of her eyes were able to be used. So she saved 3 lives. We got a letter from a 17-year-old girl who lives in Tallahassee who said that she had received Erica's kidney, and if she had not gotten Erica's kidney, she would have died. And she told us that she loved us and that she was my daughter because she had a part of my daughter in her. And that just really, really, it made it all worth the while. Erica was a person who I know all through her life loved people. She always had the attitude where she wanted to help.